So President Barack Obama has recently been doing Obama-esque things, which is lie and be incredibly misleading. I want you to take a look at some of his most recent remarks, and then I'll discuss it.
I am convinced that President Biden's Build Back Better bill will be historic and a huge plus for U.S. action on climate change. But keep in mind, Joe Biden wanted to do even more. He's constrained by the absence of a robust majority that's needed to make that happen.
Amazing. And I'll just repeat it there. So he says, I am convinced that President Biden's Build Back Better bill will be historic and a huge plus for U.S. action on climate change. But keep in mind, Joe Biden wanted to do even more. He's constrained by the absence of a robust majority that's needed to make that happen. So I want to talk about this because this is incredibly, it's just an encapsulation of what Barack Obama, Joe Biden, this Bill Clinton era of neoliberal politics and what it essentially comes down to and what it summarizes. You know, they love to trot out this talking point. So first of all, needless to say, these people, Barack Obama himself, Joe Biden, and many people in Congress that belong to the Democratic Party, the vast majority of them actually, are captured by corporations. And so they do the bidding of those corporations. We've been seeing the most stark examples of that with this Build Back Better bill that Barack Obama is referencing here with, congressmen and women taking money from different industries and then opposing legislation on those industries' behalf. Okay, we'll get into some stories later about Kyrsten Sinema taking even more money from the pharmaceutical industry and then opposing lower drug prices for Americans. I mean, it's the system that we live in. It's incredibly vile, evil, and corrupt, but that's what it is. But Barack Obama, he's famous for essentially telling you that better things essentially aren't possible. He loves to feed you crumbs and tell you, oh, you gotta just wait on it. You gotta wait. It's funny. He says Joe Biden wanted to do even more. You're saying wanted as if it's past tense, as if he still can't do even more. Yeah, he can. So the progressives gave up all their leverage, as we know, and they allowed the bills to be decoupled. And so there will be no Build Back Better agenda. And if there is, it won't be anything significant. It will not be historic, as Barack Obama says. That's a lie, and we know that. But before the bills got decoupled, Joe Biden could have did a lot to get that entire agenda passed, meaning the entire $3.5 trillion, right? He could have used tactics to get Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, and anybody else that opposed it in line. There are many ways to do that. He didn't exercise any of them. I don't need to break them down in this video. I feel like they're pretty well known. Needless to say, he didn't even go in that direction. He asked nicely, and when he was rejected, he retreated, and they caved on literally just about everything that was in the bill. Okay? He says that he's constrained by the absence of a robust majority that's needed to make this happen. Joe Biden has the presidency, they have the House, and they have the Senate. The Democrats control all three chambers of Congress. Needless to say, it won't be like that for very long, most likely. But for the moment, that's what they're dealing with. They can pass that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. He could have did it if he believed in it and if he wanted to. And even if he didn't pass it in its entirety, who's to say he couldn't get a $3 trillion or $2.5 trillion? It had to be the $1.75 trillion that it is now. And let's just time travel a bit. Let's pretend like that's possible. And let's go back in time. When Barack Obama was elected, because he promised change and many different things that he didn't deliver on, he had supermajorities. Barack Obama was president for 8 years. He didn't have supermajorities for 8 years, but he was president for 8 years. He didn't once raise the minimum wage. He didn't raise the federal minimum wage. It remained at $7.25, which is poverty wages, for the 8 years that he was in Congress. He didn't work towards Medicare for all, even a public option. He didn't put any effort towards getting. He gave you Obamacare, which is a Republican healthcare plan, which was originally Mitt Romney's healthcare plan, which was prodded by the Heritage Foundation, which had the anointment of Newt Gingrich. That's what he did. Needless to say, I won't even bring up the drone strikes. He didn't end a single war. He didn't legalize marijuana. What is, this is a guy that shouldn't be taken seriously. This is a guy that anything he says, you shouldn't believe it. When he was in office, he was Wall Street's biggest ally. He was the business owner's biggest ally. And he's talking about climate change as if he didn't contribute his fair share to the destruction of the overall scope of the issue of climate change in his own way, you know, in terms of oil and fossil fuels and all that. He championed being the person that, made America a country of quote unquote big oil. I'm paraphrasing how he said it, but he took a lot of credit for that. And here he is railing against other world leaders for not being on board the climate change train. It's really mind boggling how far this guy has fallen since before he was president of the United States. He was always a slimy and sleazy character, but at least before he had the facade of pretending like he was someone that actually believed in something. But nowadays, it's so easy to pick apart his lies. A little bit of insight. Barack Obama was elected president when I was in the fourth grade. I was extremely young when he was elected president. And at the time, of course, I didn't know hardly anything about politics, but I felt great that, an African American was elected president. He was the first one to do it. And it made me feel good inside. And to see him come out and do things like this and essentially spew propaganda, I mean, it's really sad. These are tired arguments that he's throwing out. Joe Biden doesn't believe in his own Build Back Better agenda. If so, he wouldn't have allowed it to be destroyed by a couple of moderates in the Senate and several moderates in the House. He would have never allowed that to happen. You don't need a robust majority to make things happen in Washington. All you need is a person that believes in it and a person that's willing to fight for it. And we don't have that. And that's why you're not receiving it.